This episode is brought to you by XBO. XBO is a new cryptocurrency exchange that is looking for its official representatives. That's right, if you own a Bored Ape or know someone who does, you don't want to miss this opportunity. XBO.com is currently holding an audition to find its own Bored Ape and is paying top dollar for the rights to the digital collectible. The owner of the selected Bored Ape will receive $100,000 in exchange for it being the official mascot for XBO. Even if you don't own a Bored Ape, register now because the first 10,000 registrants will get the gold tier trading rewards and the chance to win lifetime Black Diamond rewards. Visit XBO.com for more details on this opportunity. Link in the description below.
This my two Satoshis, who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis. Yeah, this my two Satoshis, this my two Satoshis. Tune in and get the latest and greatest from stacking Toshis.
Hola, and buenos dias, G&Gs. I am Tracker 2Ks, and this is another episode of My Two Satoshis, brought to you here on CBTV. If you don't know, I'm about to tell you how it goes. The basic idea is I cover some stories that are crypto and some stories that are non-crypto. And so I give my two Satoshis on how I perceive these things. So hopefully some of it relates to what's going on in your life, or it might be on something that you're interested in but you didn't know anything about. And yeah, so better yet, before I jump into that, I just want to say, as I do give this gratitude to the folks who are tapping in, the folks who are sharing, the folks who are leaving comments, the folks who are at least giving a thumbs up. That doesn't mean I don't appreciate the scammers, because y'all be busy. And that definitely don't mean I don't appreciate the lurkers, because at the end of the day, we see what the view count look like on the back end, so we know y'all watching. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. Please do continue. I would really love, though, if you did some level of engagement. But anywho, let's jump into this first story, right? First one here. Considering what's going on right now with this whole thing about contagion and how there is a lot of intermingling of money on the back end between these lending platforms and foundations and holding companies and firms, this list, I forgot how I came across this tweet post the other day. Link for this will be in the description, by the way, so you can definitely follow up on it. But the basic idea that they broke down who's who on the list. So here you have it. Companies that you might know, you might not know. If you don't know, Voyager is the latest one right now to be having issue. They're a prime brokerage firm founded in 1993, and they're not just about crypto. They're about putting money in whatever they figure can really work out to get them bigger bang for their buck, or at least the people who have put into their platform as a prime brokerage firm. Then you have Three Arrows Capital. There's a whole thing that just popped up in the Twitter newsfeed about what's going on with them, and apparently they can't find certain people right now. Then you have Genesis Global Trading, you have BitMEX. We all already know about what's going on with Celsius, and there's a whole thing that's coming out about a possible way of how they're going to pay back their loans, not necessarily directly using the Bitcoin, because questions are around that part too, of how much do they really actually have. And so we see the list, and if you're curious on what does this really mean, I surmise this as you have folks who came from traditional finance who came over into the crypto space and was like, hey, we can do some of the same stuff over here because the regulation isn't here like that. So we can work out to do as much lending and basically rehypothecation, which means if you have initial $100 as the deposit or the collateral, you can make that through fractionalization of lending out, right, into 100,000. $1,000 would go up to 100,000 if you did rehypothecation. And in some cases, some of these companies and firms and projects and foundations and entities were doing that across the board in different ways, but they were doing it whether you were up here at the top tier level of it all the way down to the third tier level of the more what you know as the front companies, the BlockFi, the Celsius, and then they were lending and mixing out their funds, which is really the depositor. So us as the retail people, they were taking the money that we deposited on their platform to get the yield, which is the interest payback, and they were then lending it out into other platforms who were doing the same thing again. And so you pluck one part of the string of the spider's web, guess what? Everybody feels it. And honestly, there's going to be some more pains to go through for the rest of this decade. I'm not the genius person who's making that statement. It's a number of other more advanced and smarter people than me who's making that same statement of there's going to be some more rolling heads. X amount of companies are definitely going to fail in this blockchain crypto space thing. And so I just wanted to throw this out there for those of you who are like, what is this about? Here's the list. You can see how much money has been moving around. And I'm telling you, there's going to be more to come. It's not just like these, 12, 15 people, or sorry, companies. Nonetheless, jumping on to this next one. I seen this and I never read Finbold before, which stands for Finance in Bold, sorry. So I never heard of the platform before, happened to catch my attention, and I seen the name and I'm like, okay, Rockefeller International? Who's that? And then who's the person that said this from Rockefeller International? Now, here's where we get into Shachar Sharma. I know I'm totally messing up his name. I apologize. The chairman of investment management firm Rockefeller International has expressed bullishness regarding Bitcoin's future as the cryptocurrency maneuvers through the current bear market. Okay. So here's the bottom line, right? Because I didn't highlight anything else, because what got me again was when I saw the name Rockefeller, I thought of the Rockefeller family. So I'm like, let me read through what he's actually saying. He's basically like, once more of the economic woes play out and other cryptocurrency stable coins and stuff start having more apparent issue and losing price point value, and then you're going to see what was really a vapeware and what was a lot of, what do they call it? 3-card Monty, where you're like shuffling things around so people can't see what's really going on. More of that is going to come out as we go through this decade. And so his point was that Bitcoin is going to show more of its true value. It didn't sound like he was saying it on necessarily a technology base, but in relation to like how it functions in a finance world, and having it have a finite amount helps. Now, I did a little digging, and it does turn out Rockefeller International is connected to the Rockefeller Family Trust, and they've been going as business partners or as advisors to them all the way back into like the 18-something. One of the things I'm always very cautious about is be leery of listening to people who are in a whole different operational environment than you at your retail level. If you're not talking where you in the 100 million range, your tax bracket is up there, and you doing things that like work to affect economies or geopolitical or global situations, that's a whole different level than the average regular me, some bald guy on the internet talking about crypto and the tech side of it. My point to this is be leery of folks at this level who have commentary about what's going on in the space and how these different cryptocurrencies will be advantageous or not, because their agendas more than likely don't align with where you're at in comparison to their operational environment. Case in point, I was thinking about this and I was like, all right, if this is really the Rockefeller folks saying like, all right, this could be a good thing, what works out for them for something that's supposed to be decentralized and a peer-to-peer level type of technology? Why would someone at this caliber, this level, or in this environment say something? Honestly, I don't know. But if you got some hypothesis, I would definitely like to read about them in the comments on this. So definitely drop something in. Nonetheless, I'm gonna move on to this next story. This is my last one. So I find it hilarious beyond like belief of how everyone kept promoting, hey, you gotta vote this guy in. You gotta vote Biden in. We got Sleepy Joe here. He's here now. We had to get the other guy out. The other guy is gone. But I find it so ironic how there were a number of things that old guy said, the orange head guy, that seemed to be playing out. This situation happens. Biden administration sold 1 million barrels of oil from U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve to Chinese state-owned firm where Hunter Biden is an investor. I don't care about the Hunter Biden part of it right now. That's not even my focus. What I am talking about though is, let me get close on this. If the whole thing of we know the gas price situation is screwy and messed up, and you saying you're gonna do some stuff like open the reserves to help the American people here in the US, why is it that we gave majority of it to Europe and Asia? And technically we sold it to a company that is controlled by the CCP, but nonetheless, you didn't keep the stuff home. And the more digging I do on this particular thing, it turns out that like the decision to give Europe and the Asian countries the oil from here in the States, that would be like the functional stuff that we use, they thought about that from last year. But again, I don't vote these particular people. I'm just pointing this out to all of you blue coat folks who was like, yeah, we gotta vote for Biden. Biden is the way to go. I'm just saying this doesn't read like it's going to help me as an American citizen, as a person as a person here in the States. Just saying. I know how much gas costs on my side of the country. I feel really bad for the folks out there in Cali because I think they're like around 7. I don't know, man. I put these stories out there just so y'all can get an understanding of what you see in mainstream and what's being pushed to you as the narrative isn't always what it is. I'm just saying it was supposed to be that opening up the special rights reserve was supposed to help us here in the States. How is you giving the oil to other countries helping us here in the States pay for this high-ass gas? Somebody tell me how the math work. I would really appreciate the clarity on that. If you disagree or agree with me, comments is always open. You can always find me on Twitter. And that's just how it is right now. Nonetheless, that's the closeout. This is my 2 Satoshis. I am Trek with 2 Ks. And this is CBTV, where I basically just break down some of the things that come across my radar and give my 2 Satoshis. Other than that, y'all, until the next one, have a day. Do look to build those real world connections because I think they're really gonna matter this decade. All right, y'all. 1.
I ain't telling no lies, I just